training every day isn't hardcore. In fact, it's absolutely ridiculous and potentially counterproductive. Hey everybody, I thought I would chat with you guys and gals about this today. You get people who do this and they get this idea to where they're like, if I do more in the gym, more work equals more results, right? They think of it as a job. Like as in, if I work 10 hours at X amount of rate, I'll get X amount of money. But if I work 20 hours, I'll get double the money. Well, that's not how weightlifting works. Absolutely not how it works. In fact, once you reach a point to where you're not recovering, you start gaining less. And in other words, it is possible for someone to train enough that they lose muscle. Okay, we need to be clear on that. If you overtrain, you will actually in some cases start to regress. Even though you're putting in hours and hours of work every week, you might start losing muscle and strength. And we need to be clear on that. And as we're doing work, once we reach our minimum amount of work to stimulate a training response, it is not linear anymore. Okay? It's not like if you do 50% more work beyond that, you get 50% more progress. Every single set and every new exercise that you add is a diminished return. In other words, if you do X amount of work and it's enough for you to see any progress at all, if you double that work, you might only see, 10 or 20% more gains. That's it. So think of it this way. So think of it like if you have a job that pays you by the hour, but every hour that you work paid you less than the hour before it. Okay? Weightlifting is the same way. It's the same way. It's very much a diminished return. And what actually happens, again, if you don't recover between sets, like you take too short of breaks even between sets, what happens? You don't gain any muscle from the next set because you're not able to be recovered enough to perform correctly. If your training sessions, between your training sessions, you are not recovered enough to perform optimally, you might not gain anything from that training session at all. So for people to understand this, what I mean, I have had clients who only train 3 days a week, who have quite impressive physiques. You guys have seen many of them in some of the old client vlogs, people who got great results. They were jacked, they were stacked, only working out 3 days a week. That's it. A lot of my strength athletes do 4, a lot of my clients do 4 days a week, and a very, very tiny number of my clients do 5 days a week. Now, as a coach, the only people who I will have in a gym training 5 days a week are, number one, very advanced lifters, right? Advanced lifters. If you've only been training hard for 2 years, there is no way I would personally put you in the gym 5 days a week. If your goals are strength oriented, I'm not going to put you in the gym 5 days a week. The only people who do 5 days a week for me as a coach are physique competitors or models. That's it. If you don't compete in bodybuilding or do modeling of some type, like some sort of modeling where your physique is important, and you need that last 0.5%, we're not going to do 5 days. There's no reason to do that. And as far as beyond that, I don't prescribe anything. I don't have anyone train 6 or 7, ever. In fact, I would go so far as to say, for most people, even if you're doing cardio daily, you should probably take a day off from cardio every week. Even from your cardio, your body needs to rest. Okay, people don't grasp this. We don't grow while we are in the gym. We gain muscle when we are sleeping. Now, when people say, well, I want more calorie burn, well, go walk. Walking burns way more calories for your time than lifting weights. If your goal is to burn more calories, take a walk. Get out of the weight room. Not a good use of your weight room time. In fact, if you're doing it to burn calories and you're trying to lose fat and you're doing too much training, you're going to beat your body up. You're going to be more likely to get injured because you're under-recovered and you're overtraining. This is where inflammation happens, and that repeat inflammation and loading is where injuries happen, both due to fatigue in the tissue, right? Fatigue in the tissue as well as mental fatigue. As form starts to degrade and break down, you get sloppy when you're tired. You get sloppy when you're tired. You combine that with overuse, bam, stuff starts snapping. It's dumb. Not the approach you should be taking. You need to be able to recover from your workouts when you're in a calorie deficit, even more so. And again, I want to point out a lot of my clients are very successful on 3 days a week, and not just my clients where you say, well, that's just you. There's plenty of other coaches out there who have trained 3 days a week or have clients train 3 days a week who have phenomenal physiques. Way better than the average person in the gym. Why? Because they train really hard and then they focus on recovery. Right? Recovery becomes the name of the game because, again, any exercise or training that you do not recover from, you don't adapt to. And if you don't adapt, we don't get a positive response. Okay? What do we mean by adaptation? Adaptation is, did you gain muscle? Did you gain strength? Did you gain endurance? Did you gain power? Did you get something out of it? Did it improve you in some manner? And our weight training, that is the goal of it. We're not in the weight room to get ripped. Your diet gets you ripped. You're in the weight room to put muscle on. Okay? Or at least to put muscle on and gain strength, some sort of performance advantage. And if our goal is performance advantage, if that's what we're seeking without gaining as much muscle, then we would want to train even less. Okay? Neural adaptation requires far less training volume than gaining muscle does. And before people say, well, what about these champion bodybuilders who did it? Well, they're on copious amounts of stuff. Their whole lifestyle revolves around it. Again, magical supplementation, different genetics, and keep in mind how many of them have said they were wrong on their volumes. Even people love to cite Arnold Schwarzenegger because he ran more training volume than most people in his era, and even in today's era, right? Yet what did he say later on? I overtrained when I was younger and a champion. He's even said one time that he thinks he might have done better had he trained less. That he might have done even better had he trained less than he did. So put that in perspective when you bring up these people who mention this. And keep in mind, a lot of these bodybuilders are not training as much as you think they are. They're still only doing like 15 sets a week. Okay? I've had clients who get gains on as little as 6 sets. Really good gains on as little as 6 sets a week, 2 and 3 workouts. Okay? I might do a lot more, but I also have different goals and a high work capacity, and I build my whole lifestyle around it right now. Okay? Doesn't mean that's what most people need to be doing. Most people who try to go to the gym end up burning out and training more than they need for what they're trying to do or for their experience level. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.